The Knicks know how to stay in the news. That's for sure. That's for effing sure.
Okay, let me say something. This franchise is just nonstop entertainment.
Take note.
Big Beach. We're here.
I'm at Allen Houston.
It's different this time.
Like, listen, this team has fired a president and a coach in the same year, months apart, in the middle of a rebuild. But Steve Mills is gone. The whole of New York is rejoicing. He's been with the team for almost 2 decades in different roles, but it's always felt like he's just like the parasite, if you're watching Oscars.
I'm seeing it today. I'm seeing it today at 6 o'clock.
if you're yeah, so that's something on your mind in terms of like Mills being in there and always being a problem. He had that Tim Hardaway deal that he made, and he's been he's signed off on a lot of bad things. He's gone, and now. So
are you saying he's the virus that's been in the Knicks organization all the time? Because that's what it sounds like you're saying.
I'll say this: even if, and we're gonna find a fallout of this because I'm gonna go through the reporting. Even if, you know what? Let's go into the reporting. So.
Oh wait, before you go into the reporting, yeah. I do want to say something. Yes, I know that Steve Mills is gone, and for most New York Knicks fans, we're like, good, that's a positive thing. However, the organization still has no leadership. I still don't know what direction we're going in. Who's the leader now? Who's the leader? Follow the leader. Who's the leader?
Something's happening.
We need one leader. We need one leader to follow, and almost like blindly follow.
That leader might be pulling up the block right now. There's a lot of stuff dropping.
From Toronto? From Toronto?
Oh, let me talk. So, all right. So I'm chilling at home on Twitter, do my thing. Woj, boom, Steve Mills has been fired. I'm like, what? That's not a bomb. That's a Woj nuke. That is insane. Did not expect it, to be honest. If they didn't get fired before, we're on a 2-game winning streak, even in a weird way. Like, I just not expect it.
And Thursday is trade deadline, so the timing of that is also very okay.
Remember, the Knicks fired Phil Jackson after the draft. Bad decision. We're not good with timing. We're not good with a lot of things. But this drops. I'm like, whoa. Did not expect that at all. Kind of out of left field. And then Berman reports, apparently Mills and Perry have been butting heads too much going over trades. So here's my hot take. And let me bring this up as well. Shout out to Simeon with Nothing But Knicks. He reported 3 days ago that one of his sources saw Mills leaving the Garden upset. And the day after, we hear about the D'Angelo Russell Warriors trade. Here's a hot take, a theory. That trade was Frank Bobby Portis, and maybe a pick for D'Angelo Russell. But then the Warriors also wanted Mitchell Robinson and another pick.
Yeah, you told me that, and I was like, no.
I don't even know I think Mills didn't want Frank in there at all. I think Mills has been a staunch Frank supporter from day one. I think he's the only reason Frank is still here. Perry doesn't really care about Frank. Perry tried to trade him multiple times. In fact, every time Frank has been in the trade rumors, it's been Perry. He's also he traded for Emmanuel Mudiay to start over him, and then he traded for Dennis Smith Jr. as well. He even signed his guy Eric Alfred Payton to play over him. So I think Frank fans out there, I love Frank. That's my guy. But I think right now I cannot imagine a scenario where he's probably here after Thursday. Perry's been waiting for a year and change to get rid of Frank. And now he got Mills out. So I have a feeling like that could have been the debate. Like it could have been an angry debate over Mills, over Frank being in the trade versus not being in the trade.
So the only reason I feel I have to disagree with that, as much as I love Frank also, is that even if Mills likes Frank so much and is this big Frank supporter, Frank is not this amazing player that he's going to stick his head out on a limb for. So I don't think that Frank was the deciding factor of, okay, Mills is going to go. I think there's been a lot more stuff going on throughout the years. And really, as we've been saying for a while now, the whole front office needs a complete regime change.
But look, that's one.
Well, that is one, and you know that is one. And let's see now: is Perry staying? Is he also getting the boot? I mean, to be completely honest with you,
he's staying till the end of the season. He's taking over right now. Yeah, Perry has a lot of control.
When we had that, we had that front office.
You go, yeah.
When we had that front office with Fizdale, Perry, and Mills, we both felt that, wow, this is a cool front office. They all seem like they get along. They seem like they're thinking the same things and they want the same direction for the team. Lo and behold, what we see and what they show us, on TV is not necessarily what's going on behind closed doors. So even the fact, I mean, you and I saw Perry and Mills in DC looking like, chums, heading out after the game, looking like they were going to dinner and looking like they were like, had a real cool thing going on. And that was not necessarily so, even back then.
I don't think this is something that's been brewing for a while, to be honest. I actually think, generally speaking, that they were pretty okay with everything so far. I think, if anything, once you had that press conference with Fizz and you saw, if you look at that, I'll never forget, in the background, Perry looks uncomfortable. He's in the back and he has his head down. Mm-hmm. I think that may have been the beginning of it. But what I'm specifically addressing is the Sunday meeting. I don't think Mills was putting a job on the line for Frank. But I do think that could have been a source of contention in the trade, because that's the only trade we've really heard about. There's also some rumors of Randall to Charlotte. But I'm trying to see where could I see Steve Mills really being upset, and that makes the most sense. And it's not that he doesn't want to trade for D'Angelo Russell. It could have been something where maybe he thought Dennis Smith Jr. should have been traded instead of Frank. But regardless, we don't know. And one thing we really don't know, which is kind of exciting but also scary, is was Steve Mills and Scott Perry obviously had fundamental disagreements about the next step for the franchise. There are two ways this franchise can go. It's doubling down on the youth, tanking the rest of the season, building it slow, committing to the kids, getting rid of the vets, getting more assets, and going that way.
Which is what I would like to see.
Which is what I like as well. My frustration this season is not the kids; it's the fact that I don't know what we're doing. The other thing we can do is immediately build a good team. Right? That means you trade for D'Angelo Russell, which is one. You get Andre Drummond this summer. You have 2 All-Stars there. And while that team is not winning a championship anytime soon, the Knicks are probably now like a 5th, 6th seed. They're pretty good. They're winning games. They're probably going to be in the playoffs again. So I think, it's one of two directions. In a weird way, I don't know which side Mills was on. Because Mills really loves the kids, it seems like. And Perry definitely, he drafted Knox. He drafted Mitch. He drafted Mitch. He got Trier. They drafted RJ last summer, but that was a no-brainer, really. But Mills has also brought in Elfrid Payton, who's his guy, and I'm thinking Elfrid Payton's definitely going to be here next year if Mills stays on. Not Mills. Perry.
Perry stays on.
So I think he'll stay on. But this is what I'm trying to get to. 2 tweets from Woj, right? As we try to decipher what's going on in this.
And while you're looking at those tweets, I also heard that Mills was on the phone up until yesterday, supposedly talking about trades. So it seems like this firing was actually a shock to him.
It could have been, he wasn't at the game yesterday, which is very interesting. Perry was there alone in Cleveland. So maybe early in the day and then later in the day it was already done. But here's what we've heard. So I'm going to go in order from Woj. He has New York is parting ways with President Steve Mills. League source tells ESPN. Secondly, after that, it's expected that GM Scott Perry will continue in his role as Knicks GM for the foreseeable future. Number 3, Knicks owner Jim Dolan is targeting Toronto President Masai Ujiri to ultimately oversee New York's operations, league sources tell ESPN. Masai Ujiri, next tweet, has long been Jim Dolan's dream candidate to run the Knicks. But here's what's already complicating that pursuit. He has I'm just going to say it. Masai has 1 year left on his deal. So if you want to get him from Toronto, you got to give them picks. Right? Now, that seems kind of backwards, but I would say a GM and a president is actually the most important thing in a franchise. Unless you have LeBron James or one of Steph Curry or Kevin Durant, a GM is more important than most even star players. Yes, so while I don't, 2 picks, it would be the Dallas picks basically. You just send those to Toronto, but I'm kind of like, you know what? If I can just give those Dallas picks to Toronto.
I'm okay with that though, because Dallas is playing pretty well right now. Is Dallas even going to have a high pick?
They're probably not by the time. So exactly. So let's continue here. This is a scary / exciting one. Another guy I want to bring up is Sam Presti, the Thunder GM, who basically got all of those guys: Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant, etc., Ibaka. But here's what's interesting, and it's kind of scary knowing Dolan. Dolan's running the show right now, so that alone is
so that was my thing. That was what I'm asking. I'm like, who's running the show right now? Who's in charge? Because there is one person in charge, and it goes back to Jim Dolan. Now, Jim Dolan, he right now. I'm saying Jim Dolan, Jimmy, James,
whatever.
He right now can actually totally redeem himself by making the right. No, hold on, by making the right choice. Now we have to see what direction we go in, because people have hated on him for so long. if he is able to make a good pick for the president of the New York Knicks, who's able to step in and turn the franchise around, next year we will all be bowing to Jim Dolan again. You know it's true. You know it's true. You know if he does the right thing. If he does the right thing, we will all forgive. We will all forgive and forget. We will all forgive and forget what happened in the past. You know we will. know it's true.
No. I'm gonna fight you on this. I'm gonna fight you, Mom. Listen,
go.
With Jim Dolan. You just got mad dark. It's mad dark around you right now. Oh, yeah, stay in the front. Yeah. Here's the thing with James Dolan. Here's the thing. He's fucked up. I said it. Yeah, I'm cursing here. For too long. For one thing to be like, oh, cool. Like, it's not like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, if we became a championship team, that's very different. But if we just become decent because Masai came in, I can't forgive him for anything, but I will give him a lot of credit for that. Right. This is the worrying part of that.
Okay, is what?
Here's what Woj says. Dolan has already had conversations with one possible candidate. Sources tell ESPN. The process for a successor is likely moving faster than the time needed for Masai. So it makes me feel like Dolan's already
chosen his person,
and he's not waiting for Masai next year. Because Masai would just like, listen, if we got Masai, I'm dead serious. They could bring him out on the court like a player, and he would get a standing ovation at the Garden.
I thought he didn't want to come here. I thought he said that he never wanted to play work for the Knicks.
Conflicting reports, because we've heard one. So first of all, he said F the Knicks before. I played that. Oh, now I'm censoring myself. Yes. I played that clip for you where he's like, I hate the Knicks or whatever.
Right.
But no. He said F Brooklyn, but he said he hates the Knicks. That's one.
Okay.
However, Begley's reported today that Dolan has for years mentioned, I want to get the tweet right so I don't misrepresent anyone, but he's kind of brought up that Masai has told people in the past that he's attracted by the lure of the Knicks job. And here's the one that's really kind of like has me like, ooh. I think he's RJ's trainer, David Zenon. I believe he's RJ's trainer. I don't want to be quoted on that, but I think he's worked with RJ for sure. I think he's worked with Zion. Right. He's worked with Serge Ibaka. He just tweeted this. LOL. The text I just got. Knicks fans, I'd start getting hyped. Like right now.
No, I can't buy into it. I can't buy into anything till I see it. You know why? Because we went through the same shit with Kevin Durant last year.
Wait. Yeah, we did. We definitely did.
So I don't want to. Here's how I feel right now. I don't want to buy into anything till I see that person in their Knicks uniform as part of the company.
But the one thing
don't tell me who don't tell me all the rumors about who you think is coming and who's whose trainer is friends with who. And who's stepdad and who's godfather? No, F all that. I want to see what's really going to happen.
Let me say.
But I do. So that does make me. I don't want us to make quick, rash decisions. And what it sounds like you just said is that Dolan has already knows who this person is. I'm still hearing Van Gundy's name in the air. I'm still hearing Mark Jackson's name in the air.
Well, I don't think anything's happening this year at all with the coach.
Right.
There's absolutely not. Mike Miller's done a decent. He's 11-18. Had Mike Miller been the coach from the beginning, based on his record right now, record specifically, we would actually be like 3 or 4 games out the playoffs. So definitely, there's not a chance. I think Mike Miller's 100% finishing the season. I don't know if more is going to happen with that after, but I definitely know that
he's going to finish the season out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you never know with the Knicks. You never know what's going to happen.
I just think even like it's hard to get good coaches during the season because they're all coaching other teams. So I really think they'll just probably keep.
They're coaching teams that are in the playoffs,
or even have a direction. One thing I'll say though about that tweet about that guy put the RJ trainer is that while there was a lot of speculation in the summer of this happening, that happening, this happening, this is more like immediate and direct. Like. He is not. I've seen his stuff. He's definitely not like a hack who's just trying to get views and followers. I'm guessing he definitely got some information of something that's going down very soon, and that could be that sounds like a trade because trainers talk to trainers,
right?
And I could see 2 trainers. One guy who trains D'Lo, the other guy who trains RJ, and he's like, yo, bro, guess what? We're both gonna be training in New York. D'Angelo's coming in New York.
Yeah.
And he's saying Knicks fans. Now, when he said Knicks fans should be very hyped, that makes me feel like Masai. Because I feel like the only thing right now I think that can make Knicks fans unanimously rejoice is Masai Ujiri. even a D'Angelo Russell trade, I have my reservations about it. A lot of people do. We're heading into a draft with some point guards. We could get Fred VanVleet. I'm not sure I want to give up draft capital, give up picks and everything to D'Lo. Though I know if he got here, I'd be excited. He's a very good player. It'd be exciting. But I'm not like 100% of that D'Lo trade. And I know a lot of people aren't as well online. So I know that if that happens, I don't think Knicks fans would generally be like, woo! There'll be a bit of a split. But Masai...
Yes.
But
and Masai could bring VanVleet with him.
I love it.
I mean, that could work. But I'll just say this. Yes, I think all Knicks fans are like, okay, Mills is finally out after all you said 20 years? I didn't realize it was that long.
He's been like not as a president, but he's been in the organization.
So 20 years is a long time.
Yeah. In different roles, like scheming.
Right. So that's a really long time. So I think that's a good thing, but I still need to see what direction are we now heading in? Because I still feel like, okay, I feel like we're in the demolition process, right? So I feel like different walls and things are coming down. Trades are going to happen. We have Thursday coming up. We don't know what the team's going to look like after Thursday, if it's going to change at all, right? If we're going to have new players in, if we're going to have less picks, more picks, whatever, we don't know. So now the president's gone. So that's another piece that crumbled down. So I still feel like the building needs to be completely smashed, and then we kind of do a rebuild. I want to see a clean and clear direction as to what we're doing. Like you said, whether it is that, hey, we're playing all the young guys, tank or no tank, I don't even like that word tank, but playing the young guys and letting them develop, I prefer to use that analogy of we're going to let the kids that we drafted and that we picked to be on this team, we're going to let them develop their skills here with the Knicks. If we're going to make that decision, I think I kind of lean more in that direction as opposed to, let's get a couple more stars and pay them a bunch of money and maybe they can help us to make it to the playoffs. Because at this point for me, it's not even about just making it to the playoffs. No, I'm like, build correctly, build your structure solidly, and that comes from the top. It comes from having a good president, a good GM,
and a good coach eventually.
A good coach. On the same page, knowing what they want to do, and then building from the ground up. Not just getting flashy bits of pieces that are going to look good on the outside, but then inside is corrupt as hell. So that's what I don't want to see.
And listen, this is one of the things about this, right? Like you mentioned in the sense of, the kids or the vets. If you want to trade and build a team of stars, guys like D'Angelo Russell and maybe Andre Drummond or whatever, I am actually fine. But you have to have direction and know that's what you're doing. And it can't be a reaction panic thing, which is what it's been for the Knicks for so long.
That's what it feels like all the time. That's what it feels like.
You can make a very good argument that, you know what, this is New York City. We need people with the mentality that can be stars here and like not worry about the thing. And like guys like D'Angelo Russell, who's shown it in Brooklyn. It's not New York City, but he was very good in Brooklyn. Right. And maybe Andre Drummond from Mount Vernon or whatever he's from in New York coming back. I don't want these guys. I'm just telling you that for the record. Yeah. But I'm not a GM. I'm not a president. You know what I want? I want a
Would you like to be the job? The job is up for off. The job is up. Would you like to apply?
Hey.
You talk about applying all the time.
Right? Well, give me another.
But I mean, you talk about applying to work for the Knicks organization. Just because you know why? Because at this point we feel like we can run the organization better.
That is actually my point. It's that I don't want to feel that anymore. If a GM, I want a president and GM that's making trades that I didn't think of. That I'm like, oh. Okay.
Wow, that makes sense. I understand why they did that. And
exactly. And even if it's something I disagree with, I want to be proven wrong. The difference with the Knicks, at least over the past 2 decades, has been I've disagreed with things, and every time I've been right, for the most part.
Right.
Like most of the time, the fans tend to be right about this bad decision and that bad decision. We see it coming. People knew the Joakim Noah deal was bad the second it was signed. They were like, "Oh my God, why would the Knicks do this?" Right. So I just want to see a president and GM combo that knows what it's doing. I'm very interested to see what happens. It's really up in the air now. I definitely think trades are happening now because I genuinely think they were butting heads over trades. I don't think it was anything else but a trade that was going to happen or not happen. And I have a feeling Perry has some moves that he's been itching to make for a year, and Mills has kind of not been the barrier, the buffer to that. Right. So now I feel like Perry, well, it's also weird because maybe Dolan wasn't going to give Perry control at all to kind of go crazy. I definitely think there could be a couple of deals that Perry's been kind of eyeing and can now maybe, you know, put the foot on the accelerator.
So let's see what happens come Thursday.
So let's see what happens. I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, oh my God, it's Tuesday. Like, I'm not realizing.
I know.
I'm telling you, tonight and tomorrow, it's about to pop off. So,
woo. More news.
Yeah, more Knicks news. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back the second some other crazy shit happens. But wow, Steve Mills finally out from the Knicks organization. Though I'm reading something now from Knicks PR. I think Dolan's gonna move him to like the business side of the entertainment team.
Oh my goodness. All right, I'm done. Peace. Peace.
All right, cool. So let's see. I'm gonna put it something down.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you for coming on quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right, cool. All right.
It's Terry and Trey, and you know the vibes. If you like the show,
please subscribe. And to check out some of our other stuff, click right here.